The hazard lights were the first thing he saw. Orange. Pulsing. The specific, distress signal rhythm of a car that had stopped where it wasn't supposed to stop. Half on the shoulder of Riverside Road, hood up, rain coming down in the particular determined way that November rain came down when it had committed to the evening. Cole Hargrove was not a man who stopped for things. He had driven past broken-down cars before. He had driven past accidents with the controlled, forward-facing focus of a man who kept his attention where it needed to be and did not accumulate complications. He pulled over. He did not analyze the decision. His car was on the shoulder before his mind had fully processed why. He got out. The rain hit immediately, cold, insistent, the kind that soaked through a jacket in 30 seconds. He walked toward the 2009 Honda Civic with the rear bumper held on by one bolt and the hood up and a woman standing beside it with her phone pressed to her ear and the expression of someone whose entire evening had collapsed. She was talking to a tow company. He could hear the hold music from 6 feet away. He took off his jacket. He held it out to her. She looked at him, briefly, warily, the quick assessment of a woman alone on a road at night evaluating a stranger. She took the jacket. He went to the hood. Alternator belt, snapped clean, the frayed end visible in the pale glow of the engine light. A 20-minute job with the right tools which he kept in the back of his car from a time in his life when he worked with his hands and the skills had not left him even after everything else changed. He went to his car. He came back with a tool roll and a replacement belt he kept as a matter of habit. "You don't have to do this," she said. Still on hold. "The music is still going." "I know," he said. He went to work. The rain fell. She stood under his jacket which was significantly too large for her and covered her to mid-thigh, and watched him work and held the phone and eventually the hold music was replaced by a dispatcher's voice and she said, in the flat voice of someone reporting a situation that was being resolved, "Actually, someone stopped. I think I'm okay." She ended the call. She was quiet for a moment. "You're going to ruin your shirt," she said. "Already ruined," he said. Without looking up. Pause. He made a sound. Short, surprised. The laugh that came out before you could decide not to let it. Cole's hands stopped moving. He went still under the hood for a moment. The laugh had come out and hit something specific, not his ears. Something below that. He straightened up. He turned around. He looked at her face for the first time. Wet hair. No makeup. Older than 18. Of course older, 15 years older, but the same eyes. The same specific dark brown that had been the thing he looked for in every room he walked into for the first 3 years after he left, until he trained himself to stop looking. The same laugh. That exact laugh. The one that came out surprised, the one she had never been able to control the way she controlled everything else. The one that was the most Jenna thing about her and the thing he had replayed more times than he would ever admit. "Jenna," he said. Her face changed. The color went. Not gradually, all at once, the specific sudden pallor of someone receiving information their body processes before their mind does. Her hand came up. Her fingers found the car door behind her. "Cole," she whispered. The rain was still coming down. The hazard lights were still pulsing. Between them, 6 feet of wet asphalt on Riverside Road and 15 years of everything that had happened since the last time they were in the same place. The last time I had not been on a road. It had been in a school parking lot, the night his world collapsed at 17. The night he was told his father was dead and his uncle was in custody and the life he had been living had just become a story he was not going to be able to keep telling. The night he had looked at Jenna across a parking lot and understood, with the specific clarity that arrived in the worst moments, that she was the only good thing in the version of his life that was about to end. The night he disappeared without telling her why. He had not said goodbye. He had not explained. He had simply been there and then he hadn't, and by the time he resurfaced he was someone entirely different and the door to 18-year-old Cole Hargrove with the alternator belt and the borrowed jacket was sealed from the inside. Except here she was. Standing in his jacket in the rain on Riverside Road. And the door was not sealed. The door had just opened. And neither of them had any idea yet what was waiting on the other side of it. They sat in his car. Not by discussion. By the practical logic of two people standing in November rain who needed to be somewhere that wasn't November rain. He finished the belt. He lowered the hood. He tested the engine. It turned over clean. She handed back his jacket without ceremony. They ended up in his car because she needed to make a call and the phone signal was better on his side of the road, and neither of them addressed the fact that they were sitting in an enclosed space for the first time since they were 18. She called her daughter's school, the aftercare program, to say she was running late. He sat and listened to the call he was not supposed to hear. He had a daughter. The information landed somewhere specific and he arranged his expression before she turned back. She ended the call and looked at the windshield. "How old?" he said. She looked at him. 8, she said. "Her name is Clara." "Good name," he said. "It was my grandmother's." She held the phone in both hands. "She's at aftercare. They're fine until 7. He looked at the dashboard clock. 6:40. "Then you have 20 minutes, he said. "I know." She looked at the windshield. "I'm sorry about your shirt." "Don't apologize for the shirt." The rain on the roof of the car. The hazard lights still pulsing on her Civic behind them. "You should go," he said. "Before the belt gets cold." She did not move immediately. She held the phone. She held it the way people held things when the thing they were holding was not the thing they were managing. "Cole," she said. He waited. "Where did you go?" she said. Quiet. Not accusatory. The honest version of the question. 15 years compressed into 4 words. His jaw tightened once. "It's a long answer," he said. "I know," she said. She looked at the windshield. "I spent a lot of time wanting the long answer." She put the phone in her coat pocket. "And then I stopped wanting it. And then tonight happened." She opened the car door. "So." She got out. She walked to her Civic. She got in. He drove away. He sat in his car on the shoulder of Riverside Road and watched her taillights disappear around the bend. His shirt was soaked through. The rain kept coming. He pressed both hands flat on the steering wheel. He sat like that for a while. He went to see Price the next morning. Price had been his investigator for 9 years. A man who found things that required finding and asked no questions that were not necessary. Cole sat across from Price's desk and set a piece of paper on it with a name and a general area written in blue ink. "Jenna Hartley," he said. "Or whatever name she uses now. Riverside Road area. Has a daughter named Clara, 8 years old, at a school with aftercare that closes at 7. Price looked at the paper. He looked at Cole. "Current address and situation," Cole said. "That's all." Price nodded. He picked up the paper. He said nothing else. Cole went home. He sat at the kitchen table with coffee he did not drink, and outside his window the city did what it always did. Moved, breathed, continued. And he sat with the specific interior disruption of someone who had organized their life around the absence of something and had just run directly into the thing they organized around. Price called at 2 in the afternoon. Jenna Hartley, her married name, now her only name, the marriage 3 years over. Elementary school teacher, 4th grade at Clement Elementary. The daughter, Clara, is in the same school in the 3rd grade class down the hall. They lived in an apartment on Birch Street, 2nd floor. A building Cole knew by its exterior from a different context. "Anything else?" Price said. "The ex-husband," Cole said. Price was quiet for a moment. "His name is Marcus Reeve," Price said. "Current whereabouts are inconsistent. He surfaces periodically." "What does that mean?" Cole said. "It means he's in and out of her life in ways that don't follow a clean schedule," Price said. "There have been 2 police calls to the Birch Street address in the past 18 months. Cole pressed his hand flat on the kitchen table. "What kind of calls?" he said. "Disturbance reports," Price said. "Both filed. Neither resulted in formal charges." Pause. "He comes around when he wants something. He leaves when he gets it or gets bored." Cole looked at the table. "Keep the file open," he said. He ended the call. He sat at the table. He had told himself in the car on Riverside Road with rain on the roof that seeing her was coincidence and coincidence did not require action. He had told himself the rational, managed version of what had happened. A broken car, a fixed belt, a face from the past that had become a face in the present. He had been telling himself the rational version for 18 hours. It was not holding. And there was something Price had not told him yet. Something that would surface in 4 days and make the rational version irrelevant entirely. 4 days later Price called at 7 in the morning. "You need to see something," he said. Cole went to Price's office. Price had a photograph on the desk, taken from a public social media account 3 years old, The kind of photograph that got posted at events and tagged without thinking. A fundraiser for Clement Elementary. 3 years ago. In the photograph, Jenna was at a table with other teachers. Beside her was a man Cole recognized. Marcus Reeve. Beside Marcus Reeve was a man whose name Cole knew very well. A man named Dennis Rourke. Cole sat very still. Dennis Rourke was not someone who appeared at elementary school fundraisers out of civic generosity. Dennis Rourke was someone who appeared where money moved. Tell me, Cole said. Marcus Reeve has a financial relationship with Rourke's organization, Price said. Has had one for approximately 4 years. He moves money through a series of small business accounts. One of them is registered to an LLC at Jenna's old address. Cole's jaw went tight. She doesn't know, Cole said. Her name is on the LLC filing as a co-signer, Price said. The filing was made 3 years ago. Same time as the divorce. He paused. The signature is legally hers. Whether she knew what she was signing is a different question. Cole pressed both hands flat on the desk. Marcus used her name on a business filing connected to Rourke's operation, he said. While they were divorcing. The LLC has been dormant since the divorce, Price said. But Rourke's organization has been under regulatory scrutiny for 14 months. If the investigation expands to include associated entities. Her name comes up, Cole said. As a co-signer on a business with financial connections to someone under investigation, Price said. Yes. Cole looked at the photograph. He looked at Jenna at a school fundraiser with her name on a document she almost certainly had not understood. He looked at Dennis Rourke smiling beside her ex-husband. He pressed both hands flat. Does she know any of this? He said. No evidence of it, Price said. Does Rourke know her connection to me? Price was quiet for a moment. He doesn't know you know her, he said. But Rourke tracks people in his orbit carefully. If her name surfaces in an investigation and someone cross-references her history, it comes back to me through the LLC connection, Cole said. Rourke would know she was useful. That's the risk, Price said. Cole stood. He walked to the window. Outside, the city moved through a November morning. Ordinary, continuous, unaware of the specific architecture that had just assembled itself in Price's office. He had pulled over for a woman on a road. He had fixed her car. He had found out from Price that her ex-husband had attached her name to a financial instrument connected to one of the most dangerous men in the city's current regulatory environment. He had found out that her name was going to surface. And when it surfaced, Rourke would know her. And when Rourke knew her, the connection to Cole would be a resource Rourke would not leave unused. She has a daughter, Cole said. To the window. Yes, Price said. 8 years old, Cole said. Yes, Price said. Cole turned from the window. I need to see her, he said. Today. Price nodded. One more thing, he said. Marcus Reeve has been seen outside Clement Elementary twice this week. Not at pickup times. During school hours. Cole went completely still. He's watching the building, he said. That's what the visual suggests, Price said. Cole picked up his jacket from the chair. Who else knows about the LLC, he said. The regulatory investigation team has it, Price said. They haven't moved on it yet. But they're building toward something. He paused. 2 to 3 weeks before it becomes active. 2 to 3 weeks. Cole walked to the door. I need everything on Marcus Reeve, he said. Current location, schedule, the financial relationship with Rourke in full detail. He held the doorframe. And I need it by this afternoon. He went to Clement Elementary. He did not go inside. He sat across the street in his car and he watched the entrance and he watched the parking area, and at 3:15 he saw Jenna come out the side door with a stack of papers under her arm and a coffee cup that was clearly cold from the day. She crossed the parking area to her Civic, repaired, running, and put the papers in the back seat. She straightened up. She looked at the street. Her eyes found his car. She stood there for a moment. Then she walked across the street. She stopped at his window. He lowered it. You're watching my school, she said. Yes, he said. That's alarming, she said. I know, he said. Get in. I need to tell you something. She held his gaze. She was the same person she had always been. The one who assessed things directly and made decisions without performing the deliberation. He got in the car. She pulled the door closed. She looked at him. Tell me, she said. He told her. The cosigner filing. Marcus. Rourke. The investigation. The timeline. She was very still throughout. When he finished, she held the stack of papers in her lap and pressed her hands flat on top of them. I signed a document during the divorce, she said. Marcus said it was for a tax matter. His accountant needed both our signatures for the prior year's filing. She looked at the school. I signed without reading it completely. I know, he said. How long do I have before my name becomes active in the investigation? She said. 2 to 3 weeks, he said. She nodded. She looked at the school. She looked at the entrance where in 2 hours Clara would come out. My daughter, she said. Not completing the sentence. I know, he said. She looked at him. What are you going to do? She said. He held her gaze. Fix it, he said. She held his gaze. Like the alternator belt, she said. Yes, he said. Like the alternator belt. She told him to come to the apartment after Clara was in bed. He arrived at 9:15. The apartment on Birch Street was second floor, warm, with the specific organized energy of a small space managed carefully. Books on 3 shelves by subject, Clara's artwork on the refrigerator in a rotating display, a kitchen that smelled of whatever dinner had been an hour ago, and dish soap from the cleanup after. She made tea. He sat at the kitchen table. She brought 2 cups and sat across from him, and they were at a kitchen table again, and the last time they had been at a kitchen table together was when they were 17, and the kitchen had been her mother's and the table had been yellow formica, and outside the window it had been May. You disappeared the night of May 14th, she said. I was supposed to meet you in the parking lot at 9. You weren't there. She held the cup. I waited until 10:30. He held the table. I know, he said. The next day you weren't at school, she said. The day after that. By the end of the week nobody would tell me what happened. Your aunt said you'd gone to live with relatives. She looked at her cup. I sent 4 letters to the address she gave me. None came back. None were answered. He held the table. I got the letters, he said. Her hands tightened on the cup. You got them, she said. Yes. You didn't answer. No. He held the table. I couldn't. She held the cup. She held it with both hands and looked at the kitchen table. At the surface of it, the grain, something to look at that was not him, and she breathed. Tell me why, she said. Not loud. Not angry. The honest version. The one she had wanted for 15 years. He pressed his hands flat. He told her. May 14th. His father, a man Cole had understood by 17, was not the man he had been told his whole childhood. His father had been found dead in a warehouse on the south side. His uncle, his father's brother who had been the actual force behind the family, had been taken into federal custody at 9:15 that same night. The night he was supposed to meet Jenna in the parking lot. By 10 o'clock, men he had never met were in his house explaining to him that the life he had been living was connected to things he had not been told, and that those connections were now visible, and that visible connections could become dangerous connections very quickly. He was 17 years old. The man explaining had been calm and specific. The message had been, you become someone else, or the people you love become leveraged. The only person he loved who was outside the family was Jenna. They told you to disappear, she said. They gave me the option, he said. I took it. He pressed his hands flat. I was 17. I understood enough to know that Jenna Hartley in an ordinary life was safer than Jenna Hartley connected to whatever I was becoming. He held her gaze. So I became something else. Somewhere else. She looked at the table. You were protecting me, she said. Not warmly. Not bitterly. Just placing the fact. I was 17 and terrified, and yes, he said. I was protecting you. In the only way I understood at the time. She held the cup. And then 15 years passed, she said. Yes, he said. And you became, she gestured. The gesture that covered the suit, the car, the investigator, the controlled, managed authority that walked into a room before he did. Yes, he said. She held the cup. Outside the kitchen window, Birch Street did its quiet late evening thing. Marcus, she said. You don't have to, he said. I do, she said. Because you're going to fix what he did and you should know what it was attached to. She held the cup. I met him 2 years after you left. He was stable, uncomplicated, ordinary. All the things that felt safe after a year of not understanding what had happened. She looked at the table. The ordinary turned out to be a surface. Underneath it was someone who borrowed money he couldn't repay from people he shouldn't have borrowed from and who, when the divorce happened, made decisions about our shared paperwork that he did not consult me on. She pressed her lips together. I trusted the accountant's story because I was too exhausted to ask the follow-up question. He held the table. The LLC is going to become active in the investigation, he said. When it does, your name is in it. And Rourke, she said. Rourke is the larger problem, he said. Not because of the investigation, that I can address. Because if Rourke's people find the LLC connection before I do, and they run the background on the cosigner and they find who you are. They find you, she said. They find the connection between a woman named Jenna Hartley and Cole Hargrove, he said. And Rourke will use that. She held the cup. She looked at the refrigerator, Clara's artwork rotating in its display. A drawing of a house with a large sun. A drawing of two people that said Mama and Me underneath in a 7-year-old's handwriting. Hi, daughter, she said. Yes, he said. And here, right here in the middle of this story, we have to stop. Because this is the question this moment is asking. When someone disappears from your life to protect you and then reappears 15 years later because you're in danger again, what do you do with that? Do you trust it? Do you let the person who left be the person who fixes it? Or do you take the protection and hold the door closed? Tell us in the comments. Because what Jenna does next is the hardest decision in her life. She set the cup down. She looked at him. Clara comes home from school at 3:15, she said. She doesn't know anything about any of this and I need it to stay that way. Yes, he said. Fix the LLC, she said. Whatever that takes. But she doesn't know. He held her gaze. She won't know, he said. He picked up her cup. He held it. She looked at the kitchen. What she did not know yet, what Price had not told Cole yet and what would surface the following morning, was that Marcus had already made contact with Rourke's people. And what he had told them had put Clara in the center of something neither of them could leave her in. Price called at 6:45 the next morning. Marcus met with 2 of Rourke's people last night, Price said. At a bar on 5th Street. My contact was 3 tables away. Cole was out of bed. He was already at the window. What did Marcus offer? He said. Information, Price said. He knows Jenna's name is in the LLC. He knows the investigation is coming. He offered to deliver her cooperation with Rourke's people in exchange for his own financial situation being resolved. Pause. He told them she'd be easier to approach through the daughter. Cole's hand went flat against the window glass. He offered to use Clara, he said. He suggested the daughter was the pressure point, Price said. That Jenna would cooperate with anything if the alternative involved Clara. Cole pressed his hand harder against the glass. How did Rourke's people respond? He said. They're moving today, Price said. They want a conversation with Jenna. They plan to present it as a regulatory matter. Make it look like they're helping her navigate the investigation. Make her feel like they're on her side. And when she finds out they're not, Cole said. The daughter becomes the leverage, Price said. That's the standard approach. Cole moved away from the window. He was dressed in 4 minutes. He called Jenna. She answered on the second ring. Don't take Clara to school this morning, he said. Get her ready, tell her there's a change of plans and stay inside. Pause. Cole. Jenna. Not today. Keep her home. Another pause. What happened? Marcus talked to Rourke's people last night, he said. They're planning to approach you. They're going to use Clara as leverage. He held the phone flat. They don't have her yet. They're not going to get to her. But I need you inside the apartment until I call you back. She was quiet for exactly 2 seconds. Okay, she said. He ended the call. He called his 2 most trusted people. Men named Sears and Walsh who had been with him for 7 years and understood brevity and precision. He gave them the address on Birch Street. He told them to be outside the building in 15 minutes. He was in his car in 3. Rourke's people arrived at Birch Street at 8:20. 2 of them, a man named Delton and a man Cole knew by reputation as Carver. They walked up to the building entrance and pressed the buzzer for apartment 2B. They did not get an answer. They pressed it again. Sears materialized at the entrance. Walsh came from the other direction. Delton turned. He looked at Sears. He looked at Walsh. He looked at the building entrance. He looked at the street. Cole's car was at the curb. Cole stood beside it. He looked at Delton and Carver from across the sidewalk with the specific level attention of someone who did not need to perform anything to communicate what the situation was. Delton was 42 years old and had been doing Rourke's ground-level work for 8 years. He understood immediately. He held up both hands, the specific practice gesture of someone who was recalibrating the morning. "Mr. Hargrove," Delton said. "Morning," Cole said. Delton looked at the building. He looked at Cole. "We weren't aware of any connection," he said. "How you are," Cole said. Delton held both hands up for another moment. Then he turned. He and Carver walked back to their car and drove away. Walsh looked at Cole. Cole nodded. Walsh went back to his position. Cole went upstairs. He knocked. Jenna opened the door. She had Clara behind her, 8 years old, dark-haired, still in her pajamas, holding a piece of toast in one hand and looking at Cole with the direct, evaluating gaze of a child who had been told there was a change of plans and was assessing the change. "Hi," Clara said. "Hi," Cole said. "Mom said we're staying home," Clara said. "Yes," Cole said. Clara looked at him. She looked at his jacket. "You're wet," she said. It had been raining again. He looked down at his jacket. "I am," he said. "Mom has a towel," Clara said. She turned and went back into the apartment. Jenna looked at Cole. He looked at her. "They came," she said. "They came," he said. "They left." She pressed her hand against the door frame. He came inside. The apartment in the morning had a different quality than the apartment at 9:15 at night. Clara's cereal bowl on the table, her backpack by the door even though she wasn't going, the television on low in the other room with a morning program she had apparently been watching before the change of plans was announced. Clara came back with a hand towel and offered it to Cole with the matter-of-fact generosity of a child who had identified a problem and found the solution and delivered it without ceremony. He took the towel. "Thank you," he said. "You're welcome," she said. She went back to the couch. Jenna looked at the couch where her daughter had returned to her program. She looked at Cole. "Marcus," she said. "He gave Rourke's people your name," Cole said. He offered Clara as the pressure point. Her jaw tightened. Just the jaw. The rest of her face stayed completely still. The specific control of a mother who had decided that certain things did not get to show on her face in front of her child. "What do you need from me?" she said. "Quiet. I need to deal with Marcus and Rourke separately," he said. "The LLC can be resolved. Your name can be removed from the investigation's active list before it becomes actionable." He held her gaze. "But Marcus is the ongoing problem. He's going to keep coming back to Rourke's people because he owes money he can't repay and you're the asset he has access to." She held the door frame. She held it tight. "He doesn't have access to me," she said. "He has access to your name on a document," Cole said. "And he has access to the knowledge that Clara exists." He held her gaze. "I'm going to remove both of those." She looked at him. She looked at Clara on the couch. Clara had finished her toast and was watching her program with the focused absorption of a child who had decided the morning's disruption was interesting but the program was more interesting. Jenna looked back at Cole. "How?" she said. He held her gaze. He thought about 15 years. He thought about May 14th and a parking lot and a 17-year-old who had chosen survival because the alternative was watching the wrong people find the only good thing in his world. The wrong people had found the only good thing in his world anyway. They had just taken 15 years to do it. He was not going to give them another hour. He met Dennis Rourke at noon. Rourke operated from an office on the 9th floor of a building on Commerce Street. A legitimate-looking suite with a reception desk and framed prints and a woman who answered the phone and said Rourke Financial Consulting and meant something different by it than the words suggested. Cole walked in. The receptionist reached for the phone. He walked past her. He went to the office at the end of the hall. He knocked once. He went in. Dennis Rourke was 61 years old, broad, with the particular groomed confidence of a man who had been the most dangerous person in most rooms for 30 years and had mistaken the pattern for a law of nature. He looked at Cole in the doorway. He looked at the door. He looked at Cole. "Sit down," Rourke said. "I won't be long," Cole said. He crossed the room. He set Price's documentation on Rourke's desk. Rourke looked at the file. He did not open it. "The regulatory investigation currently building toward your organization," Cole said, "contains a filing connected to an LLC registered to Marcus Reeve and Jenna Hartley. That LLC is your entry point to her name, and through her name, potentially to mine. He held Rourke's gaze. I'm here to close that entry point. Rourke held the desk. You're here to make me back away from something I haven't technically touched, Rourke said. Your people touched it at 8:20 this morning, Cole said. They went to her building. They were told to leave. He held Rourke's gaze. I'm telling you now directly that the next contact, with Jenna Hartley, with the LLC, with her daughter, with Marcus Reeve as a resource for anything connected to her, becomes something we address differently than this conversation. Rourke held the desk. He was a man who had been in this kind of conversation before, from both sides of it. He assessed. He ran his number. The LLC can be dissolved, Cole said. Her name was removed from the filing. The regulatory investigation loses its connection to her entirely, which also means it loses the thread that leads to you through her. He held Rourke's gaze. You have something to gain from this conversation going the way I'm describing. Rourke looked at the file. He opened it. He read for a moment. He closed it. Marcus Reeve is a liability, Rourke said. He came to my people with an offer that required me to be involved in something small and complicated. He pressed his lips together. I don't do small and complicated things. I know, Cole said. If the LLC dissolves cleanly and her name exits the filing, Reeve has no offer left to make, Rourke said. Correct, Cole said. Rourke held the desk. He looked at the window. He looked at Cole. The dissolution paperwork, he said. Where does it originate? My attorney files it, Cole said. Reeve co-signed the LLC. He'll need to sign the dissolution. And if he doesn't cooperate? Rourke said. He will, Cole said. That's the second conversation I'm having today. Rourke held the desk for another moment. This conversation didn't happen, Rourke said. What conversation? Cole said. He walked out. Marcus Reeve was at an apartment on 9th Street. Price had the address. Cole went there at 2 in the afternoon. He knocked. Marcus opened the door, 38 years old, with the specific wary quality of someone who had been making bad decisions for long enough that every knock on his door produced a rapid threat assessment. He saw Cole. He tried to close the door. Cole's hand went flat against it. We're going to talk, Cole said. Even. Complete. Marcus stepped back. Cole went in. The apartment smelled of takeout containers and the particular stale quality of a space not being actively maintained. A laptop open on the table. Clothes on the chair. The general atmosphere of someone living temporarily in their own life. You went to Rourke's people, Cole said. Marcus opened his mouth. Don't, Cole said. I don't need the version you prepared. I need the true version. You went to Rourke's people and you offered Jenna's name. You offered Clara. Marcus pressed his lips together. His hands were not steady. I needed the debt resolved, he said. I know what you've been, Cole said. Price is thorough. He held Marcus's gaze. You're going to sign LLC dissolution paperwork. Today. My attorney is filing before the close of business. He held his gaze. And you're going to stay away from Jenna and Clara. Permanently. Not as a request. Marcus looked at the door. He looked at Cole. He made the calculation that people made when they had run entirely out of road and the person standing in front of them had not left them an exit in any direction. The debt, Marcus said. I'll clear 20% of it, Cole said. In exchange for the dissolution signature and the distance. Marcus looked at the table. He looked at the laptop. He pressed his lips together. He nodded. Cole called his attorney. Elena was there in 40 minutes. Marcus signed at the dining room table of his own apartment while Cole stood in the kitchen doorway and the rain that had started again hit the window and Elena witnessed the signature with the specific practiced composure of a woman who had witnessed things in considerably more dramatic circumstances. She took the document. She left. Cole looked at Marcus. Jenna doesn't need to know the details of this conversation, he said. She needs to know her name is clear and the distance is permanent. That's what I'm going to tell her. Marcus held the table. He nodded once. Cole walked out. He stood outside the building on 9th Street with the rain coming down and his phone in his hand and Price's number ready. He called. Rourke's people are pulling back, Price said before Cole could speak. Just confirmed. They've walked away from anything involving the Hartley LLC. Pause. Dissolution filed at 3:48. Cole pressed his hand against the building wall. Her name is clear, he said. Her name is clear, Price said. He ended the call. He stood in the rain on 9th Street. He pressed both hands flat against the brick. He breathed. He was 33 years old and the rain was exactly the same as the rain on Riverside Road 6 days ago, and something that had been sealed at 17 had been opened and addressed and was not sealed anymore. He called Jenna. She answered immediately. It's done, he said. The LLC is dissolved. Your name is out of the investigation entirely. Marcus has signed the paperwork and has been given specific clarity about distance. She was quiet for a moment. Clara, she said. Safe, he said. Both of you. Another pause. He heard Clara's voice in the background, calling from another room, the specific voice of a child who needed something and was confident it would be provided. Jenna called back, 1 minute, Bug. She came back to the phone. Cole, she said. He waited. Thank you, she said. The full weight of it. The 15-year version of it. He held the phone. He held the rain on his shoulders. I should have answered the letters, he said. She was quiet for a moment. Come to dinner on Saturday, she said. Clara's been asking about the man with the wet jacket. He held the phone. He said. Saturday dinner was pasta. Not an event. A regular dinner in an apartment that smelled of garlic and the particular warm busyness of a small kitchen where someone was cooking and a child was doing homework at the kitchen table and the television was on in the other room for no one specifically. Cole arrived at 6:30. Clara answered the door. She looked at him. She looked at his jacket. Is it raining? She said. Not tonight, he said. Good. He stepped back. Mom's in the kitchen. I'm doing math. I don't like math. What part? He said. She held up the worksheet. He looked at it. Long division, he said. The second one has a remainder. You stopped before you got there. Clara looked at the worksheet. She looked at him. How do you know? She said. Old habit, he said. She considered this. She sat back down at the table. He sat across from her. He worked through the remainder with her. Not doing it for her, just the specific step, the one that produced the remainder and showed her where to put it. She looked at the finished problem. She looked at him. That's not so bad, she said. It never is once you know where to put things, he said. Jenna was in the kitchen doorway. She had been there for 30 seconds. She looked at Cole at the kitchen table with her daughter's math worksheet between them. She looked at it for a moment. Then she went back to the pasta. Dinner was easy in the way that some things were easy. Not because there was no history, not because 15 years hadn't happened, but because the present moment was what it was, and the present moment was a kitchen table and garlic bread and a child who ate her pasta with the focused efficiency of someone who had opinions about portion size. Do you fix a lot of cars? Clara said. Jenna looked at Cole. When they need it, he said. Mom's car makes a sound now, Clara said. On turns. Clara, Jenna said. It does, Clara said. A click. He held the bread. CV joint, he said. Not urgent but worth addressing. Jenna held her fork. You can tell that from a description, she said. I told you, he said. Old habits. She looked at him across the table. The specific look of two people who have a very long shared context and are standing at the beginning of a new one. Clara looked at her mother. She looked at Cole. He went back to her pasta. He came back on Wednesday. Not for dinner. Jenna had texted to say the clicking had gotten louder and asked, with the specific directness he had always valued about her, whether old habits extended to CV joints. He brought the part. He worked in the parking space behind the building while Jenna sat on the low wall beside him with coffee and held his coffee when he needed both hands. Claire came down after school. She sat on the wall beside her mother. She watched him work. Do you always know how to fix things? She said. He looked up from under the car. Not always, he said. But more than average. Clara considered this. That's useful, she said. With the specific, evaluating approval of an 8-year-old identifying a practical quality. I've been told, he said. Jenna held her coffee. She held it with both hands and she looked at the building above them and she said nothing. She did not need to say anything. The afternoon was what it was. November had softened by Wednesday, still cold, but the specific gentler cold of a season making accommodations. Clara hopped off the wall and went back inside for homework. Jenna stayed on the wall. Cole finished. He stood. He pressed his hands on his jeans. He looked at the car. He looked at her. CV joint, he said. Good for another 50,000 at least. She looked at the car. She looked at him. Cole, she said. He waited. I'm not asking you to explain 15 years, she said. I'm not asking for any version of the past. She held the coffee. But I am asking you to be honest about the present. He held her gaze. I'm here, he said. Yes, she said. I'd like to keep being here, he said. She held the coffee. She looked at the building above them, at the lit window of the second floor where Claire had gone back to homework and the television that was probably on for no one specifically. Okay, she said. He sat on the wall beside her. Not touching. Just beside. The evening is coming in. The building above them is lit and warm. December came to Birch Street the way December came to streets where people were starting something carefully. Not with declaration, not with announcement, just with the incremental accumulation of small ordinary things. A second coffee cup kept in the cabinet. A toolbox in the utility closet that wasn't there in November. A man who knew which step on the stairs creaked and stepped over it when Claire was asleep. The CV joint was held. The clicking had stopped. Jenna noticed this the first time she drove to school after the repair. The absence of the clicking, the specific quality of a car that was working correctly, the particular relief of something that had been wrong being fixed. She called him from the school parking lot. The clicking is gone, she said. Good, he said. Thank you, she said. Pause. Clara told her class she has a friend who fixes things, she said. Her teacher asked what kind of things. Clara said, cars and math problems mostly. Cole held the phone. He pressed his hand flat on the desk in front of him. He breathed. Mostly, he said. Mostly, she confirmed. She ended the call. He sat at his desk. He pressed both hands flat on the surface. He sat with the specific quiet quality of someone who had been given something they had not expected to receive and was taking a moment to understand that it was real. On a Sunday in December he drove to her mother's garden. Not his idea. Jenna's mother had a house 40 minutes outside the city with a garden that needed the specific late fall preparation that her mother's back had stopped letting her do 2 years ago. Jenna went every year. This year she asked if he wanted to come. He came. Jenna's mother was 63, with the specific warmth of a woman who had raised a daughter to be direct and had no patience for indirect things herself. She looked at Cole when Jenna introduced him. She held his gaze for a moment. You're the one who fixed the car, she said. Yes, he said. Took you long enough to show up, she said. Jenna pressed her lips together. Mom, she said. He knows what I mean, her mother said. She handed Cole a pair of garden gloves. The rose bed needs the covers. Back corner. Clara can show you, she knows where they're kept. Clara had already found the covers. She was holding them out from across the garden. He went. Jenna stood beside her mother. Her mother looked at the garden. He's good, she said. He's complicated, Jenna said. Everyone's complicated, her mother said. The question is whether they're good. Jenna looked at the back corner where Cole was crouching beside the rose bed, taking covers from Clara and placing them with the specific, careful attention he brought to anything he was fixing. Claire was telling him something. He was listening. He nodded. He placed the next cover where Clara had pointed. Jenna held her garden gloves. He put them on. He went to help. This is what this story is really about. Not the alternator belt or the LLC or Dennis Rourke or the 15 years. It is about hazard lights. About a man who didn't stop for things pulling over because something in him responded before his mind had time to prevent it. About the specific, involuntary recognition of a laugh you carried for 15 years in the place where you kept things that were too important to lose and too painful to access. He had tried to protect her at 17 by disappearing. It had not protected her. The world had found her anyway. Through a different door, through a different man, through an LLC she signed because she was exhausted and trusted the wrong person. The world found her. And he found her first. On a road in the rain. With tools he had carried from a different life because old habits don't leave cleanly. Some things don't leave cleanly. Some things wait in the place where you keep them. In the back of a cabinet, under a hood, in the sound of a laugh coming out of the dark on a November road. And they wait until you stop in front of them again. And then you have a choice. You can drive away. Or you can take off your jacket and get to work. Before you go, we want to ask you something that lives at the heart of this story. Is there someone from your past who disappeared without explanation? Or someone you disappeared from? Someone whose laugh you still remember even after years of convincing yourself you forgot? And if you ran into them tonight on a road in the rain, what would you do? Tell us in the comments. We have a community from all over the world, from New York to Texas, from the Pacific Coast to the Deep South, from the UK to Canada to Australia. And every comment tells us something real about what we carry and what we find when we stop carrying it alone. If this story moved you today, share it with someone who's been driving past something they should have stopped for. It's not too late to pull over. We'll see you in the next story. Stay kind.